Ooh. Hey everyone, it's CJ here with a sort of like early lock update video. I am in the process of dyeing my locks, and the reason why I'm sitting in this kind of like off kind of lighting directly in the sun is because I just wanted y'all to be able to see what it looks like so far working on that blonde. Uh-oh, the sun is going into hiding right now. So funny. But just working on getting some honey blonde in. And yes, as I said, this is the first step in that process. And oh, it's coming out to play. And I just wanted to give some feedback so far on how that process is going. So first up, the fact that I even said it's a process is, I think it's kind of new because a lot of the other lock videos I've seen in which people are dyeing their locks, first of all, they're doing it themselves, which means that they are buying, the store-bought box like Clairol or, whatever brands, L'Oreal, etc., and doing it themselves. I'm getting my locks dyed by a professionalist, and some people do get their locks dyed by professionalists, but the difference with this particular person, her name is Tamika, by the way, I have her card, Tamika Randall Hockaday. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And I will be leaving her Instagram handle in the description box below, linked there. And one of the differences with her is that, like, first of all, I've been wanting to get my locks dyed for a long time. Ever since I've first gotten my hair dyed, when I was loose natural to honey blonde, I've been like, oh my gosh, this is like it for me. This is the color I'm meant to be. I don't know what the universe or God or whatever was thinking, having me have natural black hair, etc. Just because it brings out the yellow undertone in my skin, and I really like that. But the process of trying to get someone to dye my hair, first of all, I went to where I usually go, which is Kamet Kinks in Brooklyn, and the price just would have been too much just to do like two-tone coloring. So the thing for me with dyeing my locks is that you guys have seen dyed locks, especially for those who look to Pinterest for inspiration in terms of starting their lock journey, continuing their lock journey, and just probably wanting to shift things or just loving locks, and just continuing to look at pictures and stuff. What I would always notice is just that there would just be that one block of color, and like amongst the whole head of hair, and I really hate that look. Just because, and I never could really figure out why in terms of how to articulate it, but since dyeing my hair myself, and also when I had dyed my hair loose when I was loose natural, I was getting so many compliments, and as I've looked more into getting my hair dyed and all that stuff, and that whole realm, I realized that the reason why, or the word that I was searching for whenever I'd look at locks that were just dyed just one straight color throughout the head of hair, is that it lacked dimension. And the thing that I feel like got me the most compliments when my hair was loose natural and dyed was that and this is at Kamet Kinks, by the way, in about, I think it was 2015. And for those who follow me on Instagram, I'll also link my Instagram handle below. But you could see that page, actually, I had started just trying to track my journey through the maximum hair hydration, and thought of just using it just for my hair journey. And that's been shifted because I'm using it also for personal and public life, etc. And more on that is coming, and how it's linked to even the overarching purpose of my channel, which all of that's in the works actively. I'm not just doing a whole bunch of talk about it. But anyways, I'll link that in the description box below. But you'll see my hair and see what it looked like. And I think the reason why I got so many compliments is because it had so much dimension. And the reason for that is the hair colorist that they had at Kamet Kinks at the time, what she did is she first of all, they blow out your hair and stuff. I did have some contentions about that, but you know, it was the way I even got like and saw how many split ends I had when I first went there, and like, you know, really ended up working out. It's just a matter of like how you take care of your hair afterwards in the day to day. And my hair also is very resilient and very strong, and I was taking very good care of it with the maximum hair hydration method. And so I wasn't that concerned. But what she did is she blew it out, and like, let's say this is my hair, you know, blown out straight, and she would take a section, this is a section, and she would take a rat tail comb and go like this pretty much. And then for like, let's say these ones, she dyed them like a brownish honey blonde, and this one more gold blonde, so that when I went back and started doing the maximum hair hydration again, which helped to balance the porosity of your hair, my coils would form, and they'll form around each other. And so some strands will, some of the brown and the gold blonde and honey blonde strands mixed together into one coil, which gave each coil, regardless of my whole head of hair, dimension and dimensionality. I mean, I got so many like compliments. Everyone's asking me, oh, who dyed your hair, etc., etc. And so with Locs, I realized, even venturing into Locs, that this was going to be a challenge for me, and which is one of the reasons why it's taken me even this long to start the process of dyeing my hair, because I wanted to find someone who was willing to do a little more extra work to help me get dimension in my locks, instead of just being like, okay, we're just gonna do the whole head just one color, or like even with we're playing with two colors, you know, just doing just one, the color up to here and then the rest up to here, that still would lack a bit of dimension for me. And so what Tamika and I are willing to do is really go in and like do the extra work, even with my roots, especially with the loose hair, because I haven't retwisted. As you guys know, I'm trying to go, I think I'm gonna make it 5 months without retwisting my locks. But I was hoping for 6 months, but I'll explain why in another video as to why 5 months. But you know, I'm working on not retwisting my hair. It's been, what was it? Going on 3. So it might be 4 months, my bad. So anyways, I think I'm going on 3 months without retwisting my locks. Might be for whatever, I'm still deciding on that. And that's in another video. But in terms of, you know, going back to the point of dyeing, so through a lot of like connections, etc., I just like Tamika and I, you know, met and stuff. And when I explained this to her, like, you know, I've always been afraid of like really asking for what I want specifically, and that will be in another topic in terms of, you know, my life journey, as those who are following that. Well, no, I've only just started, and but anyways, so I was really like hesitant to really explain, like I really wanted to really work in creating dimensionality, not just with the head of locks, like, oh, one here, one color there, or something like that, but like even within the locks, which is one of the reasons why I almost purposefully, kind of with this in mind, but also just because left my locks, and like the fact that my locks are frizzy and I don't do the palm rolling method. And it's because even with the strands, I'm like, yeah, let's say like this is, you know, the bottom of my locks, hair shaft or whatever, I want, you know, more gold blonde. But, you know, if she wants to take a couple of strands and put a little brown, or like miss a couple of them that are brown or something like that, that is perfect and perfectly fine, because that will add dimensionality just in one lock, which will further the dimension in my entire head of locks. So one of the important things that she was even talking about is how this is, like I just said when I started this video, this is the first step of the process. We just started yesterday, So these are the results from yesterday, in our work yesterday. I'll show you guys the back as well. And more of the sides. And this side. Let me see if I can move this, if that will help with the, my screen's gonna fall. Sorry. No edits. This is just gonna be the video. But I don't know if it's blocking or not. So, you know, I just wanted y'all to be able to see. Let me see if I'm in the sunlight, you know. This is important to see the color more in like direct sunlight, versus in shadow. But so this is the first step, and like you see my skin kind of matches a little bit more with the edges of my hair, and we're still playing with it because she loves locks. She's had locks herself before and took them out when her skin texture changed. She had sister Locs actually for 3 years, and is a certified loctician as well, and she really appreciates locks. And so we're even taking a 2-week break. She's like, you know, because my hair is black, my natural hair color is black, and she really lifted it. She's like, you know, I did a lot of lifting and there's a lot of processing, and you know, I love my locks. So she says, and she's like, you know, I want to make sure your locks have a breather to recover. So we're not going to go into like highlight or do any like, you know, any other twinging, you know, etc. Until 2 weeks from now. So for those who are looking to dye your locks, these are things to consider. You know, first of all, especially if you're going from darker to lighter, the thing that she said about like box colors, and of course it's a matter of what you can afford, but she's actually quite affordable, definitely compared to salons and stuff. And so I highly recommend DMing her, etc. But one of the things she talked about is like, you know, it's really pre-mixed and stuff like that, and it's really not even taking into consideration specific each person's like hair type. You know, that's like, it's just the commodity of just like, you know, being able to just pick something up and buy like, and have multiples of options and stuff like that, as we do in America. You really lose personification with everything, you know. And so it's like they're pre-mixed, so in a way you actually kind of don't know what you're going to get depending on your hair type, depending on where someone else is starting in terms of their hair color. Let's say someone who's naturally brown and someone who's naturally like, you know, black, which isn't like just jet black, but like, you know, picking up the same like honey blonde, that's going to come out differently, and you're going to have to play with it a lot longer, and maybe you leave it in for too long, etc., etc. This is not to like, you know, scare people and stuff into, you know, because I know that we do also have a culture that just relies on professionalism, and there is the question of some professionals not actually, you know, knowing what they're talking about in certain aspects, like doctors with health and nutrition, I mean, but at the same time, for certain things it really is important. And I know that I first of all was not about to like try to dye my hair at all by myself. Didn't feel comfortable with that at all. So I just took a lot longer and was pickier about which professional I wanted, and also they had to fit in my price range, what I could afford. But anyways, what she did is that, like, first of all, she mixed this herself according to what I wanted and my tastes and what I already had in my hair, and as an example. And also what she told me, and one of the other reasons why we're waiting 2 weeks, is that, you know, especially when you're lifting and you go from blonde, is that the sun, particularly, so this is also to take into consideration like when you want to dye your hair, what season, particularly in New York and other places, probably East and Midwest, where like, you know, you really go through those seasons and stuff, how much sunlight is available and for that duration. So I'm doing it during summer. So she said like the sun really lightens the hair color. So even like whatever is blonde, as you can see here, this more blonde versus the root, closer to the root, all this will brighten over the course of the 2 weeks. And that is something to take into consideration, because for color accuracy. So if we just try to do everything now and I'm like, yo, this is perfect, And then over time, I'm like, why is it not looking the same? And it's looking even brighter than before. And then unhappy with it, she herself wouldn't be satisfied with her work. She's like, we just need to wait because the sun lightens color and brightens it. One thing that I have to text her about and find out from her is wash, like if I can wash my hair, how frequently, and what to wash it with, because as you know, my last video about my locks, in terms of my process, I use Dr. Bronner's lavender soap, and I've gone back to that, and I'm still just at that stage. Pride weekend was pretty intense for me, but so just to ask her if I can still use that, and I'll make sure I inform y'all and update y'all, especially in the next video where it'll be closer to the final color. But so she said like it brightens the color, so you want to leave some space after your first processing, first for the health of your locks and your hair, so that it's not so you don't weaken your hair to the point that your locks might be too weak to like stay on, or you cause like severe long-term damage. But also because the color will change and shift. I mean, first of all, locks are dense, so as the color even settles in, that already will shift and change the brightness and the intensity, etc., of the color. And then you add the sun, which brightens color. So that's something to take into consideration for those who are looking to dye your locks. Now, what I will say, and what I wanted to, why I wanted to even start documenting this process right now, is because I've already noticed a change in my hair texture, which I had noted, but thought I kind of made it up out of some sort of oh, look at my hair is a little bit more manageable, whatever. Back when I was on the maximum hair hydration method, is that one of the reasons why I'm even kind of oh, am I going to go for 4 months? Am I really going to go for 5 months or 6 months in terms of not retwisting? Is because before I dyed my hair, before this happened, my loose natural hair was really, really dense. It was, I was I don't know if I can make it because I'm going to need some help with this in terms of retwisting. And after dyeing it, I can tell you that, yeah, my hair texture has softened. I'm not saying that as a plus or a minus. I'm saying that as a matter of noting something as a matter of fact. So you'll see here, I hope this is, I don't know if it's better this way, probably. I remember from my messy room, but my hair texture is slightly, let me see. I'm trying to get into the light so y'all can really see this. Yeah, right here. Got a little bit of sunshine. So it's just looser. The curl pattern has loosened a bit. And it's just softer, and I can just reach my scalp a lot easier as I just just by doing that with my hair, or with my fingertips, through my hair. And so it's loosened the hair texture, and that is part of chemicals. Yeah, they slightly weaken the bonds of our hair, from texturizers to perms, which completely kill it, and texturizers. And in terms of chemical hair dye, I'm not certain in terms of killing it per se, because as you'll see if you check my Instagram, my hair still was curly as heck. It was still curly as heck. And in fact, I feel I didn't really it wasn't damaged. It was drier, duh. And I put the moisture back in. That's on me. I take responsibility for what I choose to do with my hair. And if I'm doing that, I also take responsibility for the care that I give to it afterwards. So I'm not that concerned, because I'm glad that we even have the 2-week break to see how, my roots bounce back, and in which way they do, and where, and etc. Because even at the back though, there's some, for instance, these babies still feel just as coarse and stuff like that, that I know as a matter of fact, because of science and chemicals. Let me see if I'm actually, showing it to y'all. But these, as a matter of fact, in like, the nature of science and chemicals, that they are slightly weakened and loosened, etc., but they still feel just as coarse and dense. So it's very important, and I'm going to do this in terms of the advice I'd like to give to those who are just starting their lock journeys. The first thing that I would recommend is really knowing your hair as it's loose. A lot of people, they play around with their loose natural hair probably like, for 2 months. I've actually seen people who talk about like, oh, a couple of months I didn't get it or something like that, or, maybe even just 2 years. This is coming from someone who's loose natural 10 years before ever locking her hair. And I did my hair. I made my products. I'm going to be sharing a lot of that information with people. So it's not like, oh, some lock person not knowing much about loose natural hair. No, I know. I've been around the block a couple of times in terms of my loose natural hair before I started locking my hair. So really know your hair type. Even like think back to if you permed your hair, etc. Just over the course of your life. My hair has always been complimented as being thick, coarse, growing fast, etc. And I've seen it. So I know it's very resilient and very strong. Does that mean I do a lot of foolery with it? No. 2015 was the first time I ever dyed my hair, point blank, period. And that's even when I had my hair shaved. I didn't do a lot of dyeing with it. Dyeing, which I regret. I wish I'd done so many styles, etc. But that's something to consider. So I know my hair is going to bounce back. I'm curious to see which ways it does. But I just wanted to update y'all on that. And I am also, especially now that I'm aware, like with dyeing my hair, definitely now focused on getting my moisturizing regimen on point again. So I will be making either rose water or rose oil or both. I still haven't decided on which way I want to go about it. But I will, once I get like help and stuff, I will definitely be making videos on how to make those as well. But yeah, so this is me dyeing my hair. This is kind of like a preemptive lock update video. What would it be? 23rd lock update video. Because I'm going to be out of town. And I just wanted to make a video and share with y'all and connect with y'all because I know I've been gone for a while. And I'm going to explain that in another video that's more along the process of my life journey. And yeah, so I hope this helps. I'm going to give y'all another tour, a more full-on tour of what's going on. This is the front right here. This is the sides. Left side, to be precise. Or the crown. And that's where I feel like the most looseness. But also my crown has always been kind of the loosest texture around my hair, whereas the edges and the sides have been much more dense and coarse. This is the right side. And the back. All right, y'all. Until next time.